Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Anuja Kumar with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone of Sri Parvati Temple in Somnath, Gujarat, inaugurates multiple other projects. Prime Minister stresses on religious tourism, says it will provide employment to the youth. Over 57 crore 22 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered under the vaccination drive so far. National recovery rate of COVID-19 stands at 97.54%. Nation pays tribute to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi on his birth anniversary. In Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists killed by security forces in Palwama district. Muharram is being observed across the country. And G7 countries say Taliban must honor their commitment to ensure protection of civilians in Afghanistan. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of various projects in Somnath, Gujarat through video conferencing. The projects inaugurated include the Somnath Promenade, Somnath Exhibition Centre and reconstructed temple precinct of Old Somnath. The Prime Minister laid the foundation stone of Sri Parvati Temple during the event.
मेरा सौभाग्य है कि सोमनाथ मंदिर ट्रस्ट के अध्यक्ष के रूप में मुझे इस पुण्य स्थान की सेवा का अवसर मिलता रहा है। आज मुझे समुद्र दर्शन पथ, सोमनाथ प्रदर्शन गैलरी और जीर्णोद्धार के बाद नए स्वरूप में जूना सोमनाथ मंदिर के लोकार्पण का सौभाग्य मिला है। साथ ही आज पार्वती माता मंदिर का शिलान्यास भी हुआ है। इतना पुनीत संयोग और साथ में सावन का पवित्र महीना, मैं मानता हूं ये हम सबके लिए भगवान सोमनाथ जी के आशीर्वाद की ही सिद्धि है।
The Prime Minister said today's inauguration will strengthen the link between religious endeavours and tourism. Mr. Modi said it is not only a temple but a place that stands for the strength of Indian culture and humanitarian ideology.
आज दुनिया में कोई भी व्यक्ति इस भव्य संरचना को देखता है तो उसे केवल एक मंदिर ही नहीं दिखाई देता, उसे एक ऐसा अस्तित्व दिखाई देता है जो सैकड़ों हजारों सालों से प्रेरणा देता रहा है, जो मानवता के मूल्यों की घोषणा कर रहा है। एक ऐसा स्थल जिसे हजारों साल पहले हमारे ऋषियों ने प्रभास क्षेत्र यानी प्रकाश का, ज्ञान का क्षेत्र बताया था और जो आज भी पूरे विश्व के सामने ये आह्वान कर रहा है कि सत्य को असत्य से हराया नहीं जा सकता, आस्था को आतंक से कुचला नहीं जा सकता।
Mr. Modi said that our thinking should be to improve the present by learning from history and create a new future. Mr. Modi said that Bharat Jodo Andolan is not limited to geographical or ideological affiliations, but also a resolve to connect us with our past to build the future India. He said the arrangement of our 4 dhams, the concept of our Shakti Peeths, and the establishment of different pilgrimages in different corners of the country is the outline of our faith and an expression of the spirit of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat.
हमारे यहाँ जिन 12 ज्योतिर्लिंगों की स्थापना की गई है, उनकी शुरुआत सौराष्ट्रे सोमनाथम के साथ सोमनाथ मंदिर से ही होती है। पश्चिम में सोमनाथ और नागेश्वर से लेकर पूरब में बैद्यनाथ तक, उत्तर में बाबा केदारनाथ से लेकर दक्षिण में भारत के अंतिम छोर पर विराजमान श्री रामेश्वर तक ये 12 ज्योतिर्लिंग पूरे भारत को आपस में पिरोने का काम करते हैं। इसी तरह हमारे चारों धामों की व्यवस्था, हमारे शक्ति पीठों की संकल्पना, हमारे अलग अलग कोनों से अलग अलग तीर्थों की स्थापना, हमारी आस्था की ये रूपरेखा वास्तव में एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत की भावना की ही अभिव्यक्ति है।
Prime Minister Modi said he had the privilege of inaugurating Samudra Darshan Path, Somnath Exhibition Gallery and Old Somnath Temple in a new form after renovation. He also laid the foundation stone of Parvati Mata Temple near Somnath Temple. Mr. Modi also remembered Lokmata Ahilya Bai Holkar, who renovated many temples from Lord Vishwanath to Somnath Temple. Mr. Modi said the country is not only connecting the common man but also progressing through tourism and pilgrimage. He said India climbed to the 34th place in 2019 from 65th in 2013 in the Travel and Tourism Competitiveness Index. Speaking on the occasion, Union Home Minister Amit Shah said the government is providing modern facilities to all religious places under the Prasad scheme of the centre. He said a series of developmental works have been taken up after Prime Minister Modi took over as the chairman of the Sri Somnath Trust. He said the Somnath Trust is fully contributing in the Swachh Bharat campaign. Former Deputy Prime Minister Lal Krishna Advani and Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani also joined the event along with other dignitaries. Our Ahmedabad correspondent has filed this report.
Sri Somnath Temple, an important pilgrimage and tourist spot of Gujarat. The inauguration of multiple projects at Somnath Temple by Prime Minister Narendra Modi have not only created the best ever infrastructure but also added new attractions for the thousands of pilgrims and tourists visiting the site every year. Yogesh Pandya, Air News, Ahmedabad.
More than 57 crore 22 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in the country under the nationwide vaccination drive so far. Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry has said over 54 lakh 71,000 vaccine doses were administered to the beneficiaries in the last 24 hours. In a statement, Health Ministry said the country has reported 36,571 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. The recovery rate currently stands at 97.54%, which is highest since March 2020. The monsoon session of the Haryana Assembly will begin today. Our correspondent reports that the opposition is gearing up for taking the government on issues like unemployment, farmers' protest, inflation, etc. The leader of opposition, Bhupendra Singh Hooda, said they have given an adjournment motion on the Haryana Staff Selection Commission paper leak and at least 6 calling attention motions on inflation and unemployment, among other issues. Principal Media Advisor to the Chief Minister Vinod Mehta said the government on its own is bringing the Haryana Public Examinations Prevention of Unfair Means Bill that provides for stern punishment for those involved in paper leaks. According to the tentative program, today's proceedings will end after some legislative business. The Assembly will not meet on Saturday and Sunday. Speaker Gyan Chand Gupta said the final program would be decided at a meeting of the Business Advisory Committee before the session.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists were killed by security forces in a gunfight at Crew area of Pampore in South Kashmir's Palwama district early this morning. Police said a joint team of security forces launched a coordinated search operation based on intelligence input about the presence of terrorists in the area. As the joint team of forces approached the suspected spot, the hiding terrorists fired upon them, triggering a gunfight which resulted in the killing of 2 terrorists. The identity of the slain terrorists is being ascertained. Incriminating materials, including arms and ammunition, have also been recovered from the possession of the slain terrorists. The Madhya Pradesh government transferred an amount of over 23 crore 19 lakh rupees online into the accounts of flood-affected people in the districts of Gwalior, Chambal Division and Vidisha district through video conferencing yesterday. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan informed that the state government has so far transferred more than 52 crore rupees into the accounts of the flood-affected families. The Chief Minister interacted virtually with the flood-affected people. Union Minister Narendra Singh Tomar also attended the program virtually. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
Chief Minister informed that the state government has so far transferred more than rupees 52 crore into the accounts of the flood-affected families. He informed that as immediate relief, the affected families have been provided with rupees 6,000, 50 kg of food grains and other items of daily necessity. Along with this, financial relief has also been deposited in their accounts on the basis of the survey. Union Minister Narendra Singh Tomar said that central government has extended all possible help in providing relief to flood-affected families. Union Minister expressed hope that soon life in the flood-affected areas will become smooth as before. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Union Minister Narayan Rane said the central government has launched various schemes for the welfare of poor, women and children. He was addressing a press conference in Mumbai. He said, through Jan Ashirwad Yatra, we are expanding the reach of these schemes to the citizens. Jan Ashirwad Yatra of Minister of State Bhagwat Karad was in Jalna yesterday. He said Ujjwala scheme is helping a lot of poor women. People are satisfied with the works of the central government. Minister of State Kapil Patil is carrying out Jan Ashirwad Yatra in Thane district today. Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting and Youth Affairs and Sports Anurag Singh Thakur has said Himachal Pradesh deserves to showcase its rich art, culture and heritage. The Union Minister was addressing a press conference in Shimla today as a part of his 5-day maiden Jan Ashirwad Yatra, which began at Palwama in Himachal Pradesh yesterday. He stated that Himachal's rich heritage would be promoted to be recognized globally. He added that there is an immense scope for self-employment in the field of art and culture. He added that more space is required to be created for the artisans to showcase the culture and heritage of the hill state properly with the significance they deserve.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today flagged off a fleet of 5 trauma care ambulances donated by a non-profit organisation for the armed forces deployed in Jammu and Kashmir. The ambulances will be stationed in 5 sectors located along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir and will be managed by the Indian Army. It will be used for critical care needed by Army personnel as well as local residents. In Assam, the Hemanta Biswa Sarma-led BJP government has completed 100 days in office today. Talking to newspersons in Guwahati today, Chief Minister Mr. Sarma said over 1 crore 21 lakh COVID-19 vaccinations are administered in this period in the state. He said that as promised during the assembly polls, MOU will be signed tomorrow in a bid to waive off microfinance loans. The Chief Minister mentioned that during this period, the militant group NLFB has returned to the mainstream.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today paid tributes to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi on his birth anniversary. In a tweet, Mr. Naidu said Rajiv Gandhi's valuable contributions to the information technology, telecom and education sector will always be remembered. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also paid tribute to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi on his birth anniversary. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Chairman of Public Accounts Committee Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and Congress President Sonia Gandhi also paid floral tributes to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi in the Central Hall of Parliament House on his birth anniversary. Several members of Parliament and former members of Parliament also paid tributes. The Secretary-General of Lok Sabha, Utpal Kumar Singh, also paid floral tributes. Earlier in the morning, senior Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, Pawan Kumar Bansal, Ghulam Nabi Azad and other party leaders paid tributes to the former Prime Minister at his memorial Veer Bhumi in the national capital on his 77th birth anniversary. In Tamil Nadu, 250th Memorial Day of Ondi Veeran, a brave freedom fighter from Palayam Kottai, is being observed today. Union Minister of State Dr. L. Murugan and State BJP Chief Annamalai paid tribute at his memorial. Addressing the media at Tuticorin, Dr. Murugan said that remembering freedom fighters like Ondi Veeran should be remembered for their contribution to the freedom struggle against the British Raj.
Principal Director General News Services Division and Director General of All India Radio N. Venudhar Reddy today exhorted the officials of the public service broadcaster to update constantly with the times and provide more reliable information, meaningful programs to bring people back to the listenership fold. Reviewing the activities of All India Radio Hyderabad today, he said All India Radio has been recently rated as one of the few credible media organizations in the world and asked officials to make use of the credibility to provide listeners reliable and purposeful programs. He asked them to introduce unsung heroes of the freedom struggle as part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Referring to one of the upcoming campaigns, Mr. Reddy asked officials to create awareness among people at large about nutrition.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone of Sri Parvati Temple in Somnath, Gujarat. Inaugurates multiple other projects. Prime Minister stresses on religious tourism, says it will provide employment to the youth. Over 57 crore 22 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered under the vaccination drive so far. National recovery rate of COVID-19 stands at 97.54%. Nation pays tribute to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi on his birth anniversary. In Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists killed by security forces in Palwama district. Muharram being observed across the country. G7 countries say Taliban must honor their commitment to ensure protection of civilians in Afghanistan. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
Azadi Ka Safar every day with All India Radio from Monday the 16th of August. As part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, News Services Division of All India Radio brings to you the story of glorious struggle and sacrifices of freedom fighters on 100.1 FM Gold channel in the English news bulletins at 8:30 a.m., 2 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Stay tuned.
Now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Azadi Ka Safar AIR News के संग. Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. India's glorious fight for freedom is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the valiant struggle every day. In today's episode, we talk about one of the heroes of India's freedom struggle, Undi Veeran, and about the foremost social reform organization, the Brahmo Samaj. Today is the day when a great son of India was martyred in the fight for freedom way back in the year 1771. He was Undi Veeran Pagadai, a one-man army from Tamil Nadu. Undi Veeran was one of the first warriors to rebel against the East India Company. He was born in Sankarankovil of Tenkasi district of Tamil Nadu. He was the commander-in-chief of Bhulidevan's army, who ruled Tirunelveli area. East India Company acquired the revenue-collecting rights of southern Tamil Nadu from the Nawab of Arcad. Bhulidevan and his lieutenant Undi Veeran refused to accept the British domination. Undi Veeran led the army and fought many battles with the British and won them all. மகிமை கொண்ட மண்ணின் மீது எதிரிகளின் கால்கள் மலர் பறிப்பதில்லையடா வீரர்களின் கைகள் சென்று வா வென்று வா வெல்க நாடு வெல்கவே.
During one of the wars, the East India Company arrested Boli Devan from his fort and beheaded him. Undiveeran was enthroned as the king. He continued to fight the British and also took care of Boli Devan's family. In all, Undiveeran fought 11 battles against the East India Company. Finally, on the 20th August 1771, near Manur village of Tirunelveli district, even after being fatally wounded, Undiveeran led his army to victory against the British. But after the war, the fearless warrior succumbed to injuries. Today, a memorial has been built at Manur, beckoning the coming generations to pause and ponder on the life of the great warrior.
It was on this day in 1828 that the first session of Raja Ram Mohan Roy's Brahmo Samaj was held in Kolkata. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was a pioneer social reformer in India who paved the way for progress in India under British rule. Roy was also an important figure in the Bengal Renaissance movement, often being called the father of the Bengal Renaissance. The Brahmo Samaj is credited with being one of the most important reform movements in India, which led to the foundation of modern India. Brahmo Samaj was a reflection of the Bengal Renaissance. The organization took active participation in social emancipation, which included the abolition of sati, the caste system, child marriage, dowry, and in upliftment of the status of women in society.
Ever since the beginning of a political movement against the British government, leaders had been demanding constitutional reforms. Dadabhai Nauroji had already put forward the idea of Swaraj in the annual session of Congress held at Calcutta in 1906. Also, during the First World War, the Home Rule League movement was gaining momentum throughout the country. To satisfy popular demand, Edwin Montagu, then Secretary of State for India, made a declaration in the British Parliament on this day in 1917, defining the goal of British policies in India. This came to be known as the August Declaration. The August Declaration aimed at increasing association of Indians in administration with a view to the progressive realization of responsible governance in India. The declaration proposed to provide a dominion status to India after the Second World War. However, the leaders in India criticized the reforms as people demanded complete independence and not just a dominion status. The declaration was criticized in a session held at Calcutta in December 1917. Bal Gangadhar Tilak also characterized the reforms as unworthy and disappointing, a sunless dawn. This report, however, became the basis of the Government of India Act 1919, which remained the cornerstone of governance till India's independence in 1947. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar AIR News ke Sang. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Ashura Muharram is being observed with due reverence and solemnity in various parts of the country today. The day marks the martyrdom of Prophet Muhammad's grandson, Hazrat Imam Hussain, and his companions who laid down their lives for upholding truth, righteousness and justice in Karbala. In most places, there will be no large-scale traditional Tazia processions in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, majlis or religious meetings highlighting the supreme sacrifice of the Karbala martyrs are being organized with limited number of people, adhering to COVID norms and guidelines issued by the government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today remembered the sacrifice of Hazrat Imam Hussain on the day of Ashura and recalled his courage as well as commitment to justice. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said Hazrat Imam Hussain devoted great importance to peace and social equality. In Telangana, Muslims are observing Yawm-e-Ashura today on the 10th day of the Muharram month. The day marks the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, his family and companions in the Battle of Karbala in 680 AD. A massive procession will be taken out in the old city of Hyderabad by the members of the Shia community. The procession will be led by Bibi Ka Alam on an elephant. The procession will be passing through various areas before culminating at Masjid-e-Ilahi at Chadar Ghat. In Uttar Pradesh, mourning is being observed on the occasion of Muharram across the state. More from our Lucknow correspondent.
Muslim brothers mourn in various cities on the day of Ashura to pay homage to the sacrifice of Hazrat Imam Hussain and his companions in Karbala. Slogans of Ya Hussain reverberated in Lucknow, but due to COVID pandemic, the processions are not taken on street and roads. People in big number are seen mourning, which included Nohan Khani, Matam and performance of Srina Jani, but inside their homes. In Lucknow, religious leader Maulana Hamidul Hassan has appealed people not to carry out processions of Tajia on streets. Elaborate security arrangements have been put in place across the state, including Lucknow, Varanasi, Kanpur, Aligarh, Agra, Bareilly, Gorakhpur and Firozabad. MS Yadav, AIR News, Lucknow.
The G7 countries have called for the international community to unite in its response to the crisis in Afghanistan to prevent it from escalating further. The G7 countries have stressed on the importance of the Taliban honoring their commitment to ensure the protection of civilians and expressed their concern over reports of violent reprisals in parts of Afghanistan. UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab yesterday chaired a meeting of G7 foreign ministers as well as the High Representative of the European Union to discuss the deteriorating situation in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, anti-Taliban protesters defied their new rulers for a second day yesterday, marking the Afghan Independence Day by attempting to hoist the red, green and black national banner. The jarring, violent scenes marked the latest unrest as the Taliban sought to gain a firmer grip on a nation. Some demonstrations were small, but combined with the desperate scramble of thousands of people seeking to flee the country, they underlined the challenge the Taliban face in governing. Meanwhile, Taliban called on Afghanistan's imams to urge unity when they hold their first Friday prayers since the Islamist group seized control of their country.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is likely to have generally cloudy sky with light to moderate rain. Temperature will vary between 28 and 33 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Chennai is expected to have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Kolkata will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. City will observe a minimum temperature of 26 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 30 degrees. Srinagar will have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards evening. Jammu will have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards evening. Temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 35 degrees. Leh is expected to have partly cloudy sky. The minimum and maximum temperature will be between 9 to 27 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have partly cloudy sky. Muzaffarabad to have a sunny sky. The minimum temperature will be 17 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 29 degrees. Guwahati will have generally cloudy sky with one or few spells of rain or thunder showers. Imphal will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. Shillong will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. Aizawl will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum temperature will be 20 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 27 degrees. Kohima will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. Itanagar will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain. Temperature will hover between 22 and 32 degrees Celsius. Gangtok will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain. Temperature will hover between 18 and 21 degrees Celsius. Agartala will have generally cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 26 and 32 degrees Celsius. Dehradun will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. Chandigarh will have generally cloudy sky. Temperature is likely to hover between 26 and 32 degrees Celsius. Hyderabad to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain.
Now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone of Sri Parvati Temple in Somnath, Gujarat, inaugurates multiple other projects. Prime Minister stresses on religious tourism, says it will provide employment to the youth. Over 57 crore 22 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered under the vaccination drive so far. National recovery rate of COVID-19 stands at 97.54%. Nation pays tribute to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi on his birth anniversary. In Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists killed by security forces in Palwama district. Muharram is being observed across the country, and G7 countries say Taliban must honor their commitment to ensure protection of civilians in Afghanistan. And with that, we end the midday news.